May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Real Gaijin, unveiling the real Japan, an American expat's inside look. Now it's time for another story from the Read My Lips series of podcasts. Summarized podcast.
All right, we're live. Good evening. It's Mark Kennedy. I'm the host of the Substack called Real Gaijin, also the Real Gaijin Ask Me Anything AMA podcast. Tonight, we're very lucky. We have literally someone who epitomizes, personifies the Japan dream, just like the American dream, but in Japan. I'm with you tonight with Biju Paul, who is the founder and CEO of TopTech Informatics. Biju, you want to say hello quickly?
Oh, hello, everyone. Thanks, Mark, for having me on this your wonderful show, and looking forward to interacting with you and your audience.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Biju. So Biju's got a very easy name to remember. It's Biju. So just go ahead and call him that if you put a question in there. And I do want to remind everyone who's watching, please use the chat functionality to literally ask Biju anything. We'll try and keep track of that. So we're going to hear all about Biju's background in just a second, but one housekeeping thing. In addition to the questions, please note that I will be making a recording of this presentation and interview. Give me about 24 hours to get this out, but it will be published on Substack and also on YouTube, so you can go back and check later. Now, Biju is very special. He just told me that he came to Japan 31 years and 4 months ago. Now, we're going to hear about his background from the horse's mouth, so to speak, from him directly. But he came with no connections, essentially, and started from scratch. And he originally was not even planning to go to Japan. He wanted to go to America, but for some reason, he was not able to do that and they changed course and came to Japan and has become very successful with one of Japan's leading IT service providers for small to medium-sized enterprises across the country. And he has offices in Hong Kong and frequently goes back to India. Plus, there's a lot more about Biju than business, and we're going to get into that too. So, Biju, welcome again. Please take us back 31 years and 4 months ago. How did you end up in Japan?
Oh well, and thanks, Mark, for all this wonderful adulation. I don't know if I deserve all these adulations, but thanks for describing that. But yeah, yes, it's a good question actually. Like you mentioned, I wasn't even planning to come to Japan initially at that time. In those days, it's mostly about technology, and technology means America. So I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe I should go to America. Basically, I wanted to go out of India and work in a different country and experience the culture and the traditions of the country. And so that's how it worked out. And then, well, planning to work out, but I think God had different plans. So I ended up in Japan, as again as a salaryman, and coming to a company that to work in Japan, and came as I would say a typical salaryman. Yeah,
Well, okay, except 31 years ago, there weren't too many people coming from India, right?
that's right. Yeah, so it's I would say in those days, the technology is all about U.S. centric. And Japan, as you know, even now is kind of close to these borders are close to foreigners, generally speaking, right? So I think the late 80s and early 90s is the time Japan opened up its borders to
Yeah.
foreign technology workers. And I would say I was one of the initial wave of foreign IT engineers that came to Japan through different means. Yeah. Initially, I was ambivalent about coming to Japan because I didn't know about the culture and the traditions and the technology. Yeah. So, but where I look at me where I am now.
Well, yeah. And so now, you had no knowledge of Japanese at all at the time when you arrived?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely no. Nothing. I would say to the extreme, and I didn't even know what was the normal food in Japan. So when I came here, I I was surprised. Well, actually, pleasantly surprised that rice is a staple food. And I didn't know what the weather was when I was coming here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, again for me, fortunately, I came in a summer, so I was good as well. So it's just after I came here, I was really fascinated by the blend of tradition and technology that went very well in the Japanese society.
So when you first arrived, did you go to Tokyo or some other part of Japan?
No, I came to Tokyo, so
Okay.
and it was all about Tokyo, Tokyo all the time. And I think more even now, I think that's the case. The Japan technology, or even I would say, although it's urbanized, 90% of Japan is urbanized, but I think the majority of the businesses are in Tokyo, then maybe Osaka and Fukuoka and those areas. But still, it's always Tokyo centric, right?
Okay. And when you arrived back then, did you come with your wife or you were by yourself?
No, I wasn't married at that time. I was a
Okay.
bachelor. I was a happy bachelor.
Oh, oh,
Well, I'm still happy. Yeah, but yeah, I wasn't. So well, it didn't take much time for me to get married. So I got married a year after I came here. So
oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. But so when you first arrived, though, I mean, describe what it was like. Where did you live, and was it hard to get settled and so forth?
Oh yeah. It was really fascinating for me. My initial, I would say, a couple of years. Yeah. And so, like you say, Japan, the technology Japan is a technology centric country, right? It's a quintessential part of Japanese life. So, and everywhere, wherever you go, you can see technology, technology. And so for me, life was much easier to adapt. And that actually gave me some kind of resilience to go through the rest of my life. So when I came here, things was things were not all that easy because language is an issue. I didn't know anything, and then even restaurants and
Ah,
I mean everywhere is just Japanese. You have to think it's 30 years ago.
yeah.
It's not English is still a problem in Japan, but I think it was even more difficult back in the day.
Mm.
So it's actually that kind of difficult thing. I used a lot of gestures to get along with people, and or get away from situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up, but I understand that even to this day, a lot of people from India struggle with the food in Japan, particularly if they're vegetarian. Was that an issue for you, or that you were able to adapt?
Fortunately, no, because I was not a vegetarian, so I could eat it. It was not really an issue, but a lot of my friends had this issue of being a vegetarian. So we had a bunch of people. I had bunch of colleagues from India came along
Uh,
with during that time. So, yeah, they had this issue, but fortunately, I didn't have that problem. Yeah.
How about finding housing and all that? Did somebody help you with all that, or were you on your own?
No, initially when I came, my company that I came through, they provided the housing.
Oh, okay.
It was like far outside, somewhere far outside the Saitama. So was traveling about 2 hour, 1.5 to 2 hours one way to go to work. So I was
Yeah.
working. Yeah, but I was glad that the initial part, the housing was taken care of by the company.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So your biggest challenge then was essentially language?
Yeah, language in the work environment was pretty English, so it was okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was about getting your life around outside work.
Ah,
Yeah, going
for
to a
example,
job
what
and
was the challenge?
shopping and taxi and going to hospital or post office,
Ah,
bank. You know, opening a bank account and all those kind of things. Were was a big issue at that time, and we had to rely on good Japanese friends, and Japanese friends are generally very helpful, right? So they actually help with a lot of things. So yeah, I would say with my Japanese friends made my life easier here.
that's great to hear. Say, way back though, in 31 years ago, I can imagine. Were you planning to stay for the rest of your life or the rest of your business career, or was this intended to be just a short stint at the beginning?
Good question. Oh, I came here with, I mean, frankly speaking, I came here with an open mind. So I was open to stay. I was open to go to somewhere else. But when I came here a couple of years, and I thought, okay, looks like it's a good country. I should stay back a little bit more time. And then my wife came, and I got married. My wife came, and she also, if you go to a new country, there's a honeymoon period, right? Maybe 6 months,
Sure.
1 year. Oh, everything is new, and start enjoying going to places. And but she found it much harder to adapt to Japanese life because the language issue, the cultural issue. There's always that gap that wherever you
Yeah.
go. As a Gaijin, or the real
Yeah.
Gaijin, right?
So, thank you.
So
So
yeah,
your wife came from India then?
yes, my wife came from India.
Oh, okay.
So she
Great.
said, "Oh, maybe we should move to an English-speaking country after a couple of years. Maybe
Yeah.
we try to find a job somewhere else and things like that." But as time passed, she developed friends, and the friends were very nice, and the Japanese style of helping foreigners, or just general, the quintessential values of Japan, the courtesy, the respect. This all helped us to settle in Japan.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And then thinking about business, so at the time you were working for, what was it, banks, or what were you were working for other companies at
Yeah.
your own company?
Yes. So initial, I mean, I was most of my career, working career, was with different banks. So I was in the technology side, software development. So I worked mostly with international banks on the software development side. So again, like I said, all those banks were foreign banks. So the work environment was pretty smooth in terms of language. So we didn't have a problem. And then we developed friends in the workplace. And so that was all part of that, the settling in process.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
And
then
that
what?
was all international environment. So it could work with different cultures, different nationalities, and languages, and so we could share our we always have some shoulder to cry on.
Okay, that's good to know. So you got a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
camaraderie there.
yeah, yeah.
And so, what led you to break out on your own and become an entrepreneur?
All right, okay, that's quite a story. Um, so how do I go? I start with it. So yeah, I was working. I was in banks. In and then in 2001, the September 11 disaster struck America, right? So I was a happy salaryman, earning nice money, and 9 to 6 work, and and coming home, and my wife was happy, and and then this September 11 happened, and then since then, the following year, I mean, from that year onwards, companies started laying off people.
Mm.
So I was laid off, and in 2000 September 2002, the
Oh,
following year. So and then I was started to look for jobs. Essentially, when I changed jobs, it always, it could happen in 2 3 months time. But this time, because of the economic situation around the world, and
mm,
then the uncertainty that was prevailing at that time, nobody was hiring. So I
oh,
looked around for a very long time for different jobs. And then one of my friends actually suggested, why don't you look at, starting something on my own? And that actually prompted me to think differently. And that, I would say, that was a paradigm shift in my, outlook.
wow! Talk about. I didn't know that about you. Okay, so what was the next step after that? How did you move forward with your own business?
Yeah. So it was very interesting. So Actually, that relates to my other passion. That was cricket at that time. So, like I said, I was working as a just as a salaryman, so I didn't have much network. I mean, because I didn't want to. I mean, not that I didn't want to. I was never planning to do a business on my own. So I never did any market study, or I was never in the sales side of things. I was always happy coder. So the only network, only connection that I had at that time was my cricket club.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Tell
so
us about that.
yeah, yeah. So I started the business not knowing anything. I didn't have a background of business, neither in my family nor in my wife's family. Oh, yeah, well, my wife's family had some, but not really a very close relationship in the with any kind of business thing. So um, I just started kind of. It was like I was you know pushed into a pool where there's nowhere but to swim and you know and save yourself. So the kind of, yeah. So that's the situation. So I got in, and then I started to leverage my relations within the cricket club, meeting my friends, and that's how it kind of started. It was pretty challenging those days.
So, like right now, Japan has quite a focus on startup support. So, support from the government agencies around the country for startup businesses. But back in 2002, I can imagine you were pretty much on your own for, just establishing a firm, getting going with the accounting, doing all that, and let alone sales and marketing efforts through your network, right?
That's
How did
right.
you
Yeah.
manage to get everything done?
So it was difficult. It was difficult. So I mean, I soon after I started my business, I realized that networking is the key to do the any kind of business, and then the idiosyncrasies of Japanese culture come into play because it's very important to do that Japanese etiquette. It might seem very idiosyncratic Japanese etiquette, but it's very essential in Japanese life. So that's why I said, or that the whole thing was a paradigm shift in my outlook and perspective. The way until then I saw the Japanese culture and the environment, it's completely changed. So I gave, I was meticulous about what the way Japanese people are doing business, the body language, which actually never bothered me before. But then I realized, to be successful in Japan, all these, minute things, and I have to be meticulous. You have to be observant, that body language and the words that you use. A lot of things that is intrinsic to Japanese culture. We have to be careful about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. And so your first clients were actually Japanese firms or other Western businesses?
Mostly Western business, because my background and my knowledge of industry. So I was in the banking sector. My Even now, I think majority of our customers are from the banking sector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a good point. You should probably take a minute to explain what is the name of your firm? What do you do?
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, my company's name is TopTech Informatics. So I started in 2003. So actually it's 22 years now. Yeah, a long time. So we do IT infrastructure, network setups, providing IT solutions for SMEs, all kinds of SMEs. Plus, in the majority of the not out. Sorry, that was the wrong use. It's not the majority. The major investment banks. We do data center related work, rack and stack, and or cloud migrations.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
going over my head here.
The cloud, oh, I
Sounds
would say,
technical.
let's say cloud migration, the cloud related thing, and those kind of things, migrations, and project management. Now, I mean, since last year, we are into AI development as well.
Of course. And are you leveraging? I notice you have branches in other parts of the world. Are you leveraging resources back in India?
Yes, actually, that's India is for the software development side. That's a lot of talent in India, and that's where we are leveraging that part. But for the other side of the work, the infrastructure side, that generally we use Japan resources, people who are in Japan and the Japanese resources, because we need a lot of local support and local. For example, we have something in Fukuoka or Hokkaido, so we need local people there. So that's where,
Oh.
yeah, they do
So
that.
is my understanding correct that you essentially, like small to medium-sized businesses might outsource their IT department to your firm?
Yes, that's yeah. So that part of that, the SMEs outsourcing IT is generally limited to Tokyo, Kanto area. But
Mm.
all this outside Kanto area, we're talking about large hotels or large retail companies. Let's say, for example, Nike or and those kind of Lacoste. All those kind of companies or their branches, hotels, the banks branches, and those kind of things. Yeah, or the insurance company
Okay.
outlets.
Oh, well, it sounds like you're busy. And so you must employ quite a number of people now, either
Uh,
directly or indirectly.
oh yeah, yeah. So indirectly, I would say with our contractors, direct and indirect contractors, we're probably over 100 people. Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's quite a
yeah.
big business. That's really something. And it's so from 2003 till the present, that's quite an accomplishment. Wow. And so during this 22-year period or 23-year period, I mean, how would have been like the highlights of your career and what have also been some of the challenges from the business side?
Um, the challenges, there's always different types of challenges coming in. Japan is always uh, offering fascinating challenges, I would say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In different ways, and you will never become settled in business. I would say in any business. I know everybody busy every day. So the hard part of a business owner is that continue to motivate your employees and your colleagues,
Mm.
continue to provide the same quality service every day after day, basically. But I would say the the dichotomy between of the India's vibrant young
Mm.
population, and the Japanese culture and the order actually gives us a lot of charm in doing the business.
Oh, I see what you mean. So, yeah, completely different outlook on like the relationship to experimentation and trying new things in India versus by the book set form of doing things here in Japan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you look at that, you know, India, you must have seen, heard, a lot of it's a chaotic, but there's an order in the chaos, which foreigners probably don't understand, right? So we say, yeah, it's chaotic, but there's an order in that. But if you, yeah,
Right.
but if yeah, that's right, yeah. But if you juxtapose this India's chaos with Japan's order, that will teach you adaptability.
Ah, true.
So that actually really taught me adaptability in different situations. So I could probably adapt, go back to India, become, an Indian, a real Indian, But when I come back in Japan, really, it's Japanese culture that is already over a period of time inculcated myself in.
So, I understand there are probably some pretty big differences between Indian culture and Japanese culture, but what are some of the similarities and differences between the two?
There's a lot in common. There's a lot difference as well. Let me start with what is in common, right? For example, rice is a common food, right? Rice and fish and
Mm.
the curry came from India to Japan, right? So
Yeah.
it was common, and the religion came from India. The
Mm.
Buddhism came from India,
Right. Right.
so they value that. Those are, and then the reiji, the Japanese word reiji, I think. Yeah, the respect for elders.
Nice.
These are all intrinsic to both cultures. It comes naturally to us. So that was not a problem at all for me to adapt, because it's very common and it's there, in me or anyone from that part of the world.
Mm.
So that was pretty easy to adapt on that part of that. The food was okay, not a problem. But but the difference was more like, the body language, and we Indian generally is more of, we are direct, you know,
Okay.
direct. So those are the kind of mistakes that we make. And in fact, not just we. I mean, people who come from foreign countries. In Japan, is never direct. They never say no, right? But no is implicit in their language, right? Where you have to read between the lines. And my children would say, "Papa, Papa, cookie yomenai."
Ah,
That phrase in Japan, "Cookie yomenai,"
yeah,
right?
right.
So you have
Read
to
the air.
actually, yeah, read the air, right? So
Wow.
that's what my children will tell me. So you have to understand,
So,
yeah, yeah,
so
that kind of
your
thing.
children were born and raised in
They
Japan.
were born raised in Japan, right?
They're truly bicultural. I got it.
That's yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. And so, uh, getting back to your business, though, I'm curious what what's the specific gap in the market, or what's the main need that you go after that, let's say, a larger firm might not be able to provide?
Um, so Japan, I would say, there's a lack of. I mean, you see technology everywhere in Japan. It's quintessential part of Japan from very long time ago. It's actually a kind of very rapid growth since the World War II, that whatever Japan went through. Uh, but Japan became kind of very, I don't know if I can call it relaxed, but a stagnant growth in technology. It was it was the older generation probably work hard, but the newer generation probably is enjoying the fruits of that. But the technology growth, I mean, if you look at that growth, it's not happening in Japan, and the economy is
Uh-huh.
not growing in Japan. Whereas, India is now fourth largest economy, and it's a 4 trillion economy at the moment. So there's a lot of things that these two cultures, the economies, can manage, because there's a lot of things in common, and then there are shared values.
Mhm.
So a lot of things, any foreigner that comes to Japan can learn from that.
Yes. So I'm curious. I mean, you must have quite a lot of competition that's domestic, like the Japanese firms. What is it about top tech informatics that draws your customers to you? I mean,
Right. Good question. We are generally, I think I would say 50%, 60% of our business is repeat business.
mm,
What I mean by repeat business is our existing customers keep giving us the business,
mhm,
and they have lots of business, and technology keeps changing. The upgrades
mm,
happening, and the new things are happening. It could be devices, it could be new purchases, it could be new implementations of solutions. So it's a repeat business that's coming in, and then with those people who are already there, the word of mouth comes in. So we don't do a lot of publicity and
ah,
outright marketing. So you don't see us
mm,
going around and magazine advertisements and things like that.
mhm,
But no, we are pretty. I would say in the SME sector, we are pretty solid,
mhm,
and because of the quality that we are providing, I would say. And I'm very very strict with whatever we deliver. And when we talk to, even with my staff, when we come up with situations where we have to give a quotation or an RFP,
mm,
apply to an RFP. I'm very very keen on giving or taking reasonable profit, just a reasonable profit, not knowing, even if I know that the customer can afford more. So generally, we tend to keep with the reasonable profit margin. And
Mhm.
so people ask, when I talk to my staff, my own staff, they ask, what's a reasonable profit? I thought you have to use your own discretion, right?
Mhm.
If you're taking profit 2 times, 3 times the profit, probably that's not really reasonable, right?
Right.
You buy something for 1,000 yen. If you buy it for 10,000 yen, if you sell it for 10,000 yen, that's not a reasonable profit, right?
I see.
Yeah. So I said, use your own discretion. What's reasonable profit? Salespeople tend to, just over exaggerate. If
Mm.
that's the word like that, or at least exaggerate the word. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, how you mentioned your staff? How are you attracting new talent and developing them?
Yeah, it's always a challenge in Japan because
Mm.
Japanese is very difficult to. It's a good thing and bad thing. The Japanese people or the Japanese resources, they're pretty consistent in one company where they are working. So it's
Mm.
very hard to attract very skilled talent from another firm because they are already happy. I mean, which is true for our case as well. Once people join and they stay there, they stay for a longer time, especially Japanese, because that's their style of working, and people have that comfort zone. So sometimes we have to kind of give a kind of a stirrer into the company, and then say, okay, we have to stir people out of the comfort zone, right? So the way we attract challenges is that we tell them kind of projects that we do, the kind of customers that we work with, and the kind of projects that are with the customers. A lot of people are attracted by that because of new challenges on that.
So, are you seeing a little bit of a change in attitude when you try to recruit Japanese people and software engineers? Are they more open now than they were like 10 years ago to working with a firm like TopTech Informatics?
Uh, Definitely, absolutely. I mean, when we started, it was even more difficult because we are a startup company, and started by a Gaijin, so
Yeah.
yeah, so it was difficult. It was difficult that, and now that we have a kind of a decent history behind us,
Mm.
and kind of well known in the industry, so it's not that difficult. But again, finding, I mean, more than attracting the talent, it's finding the talent itself is difficult in
Mm.
Japan now. You don't have
Yeah.
young population. They don't grow on the trees in Japan. Whereas you go to other countries, it's you can easily find talent. But then again,
Well, actually, go ahead.
bring them to Japan, the
Oh,
training, those kind of things, very
yeah.
hard.
So you are recruiting from abroad.
We do,
Oh.
specific because Japan is a niche industry, right? So Japan,
Mm.
um, so we those kind of specific talents, yeah, we do.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, as you know, I know you watched this interview a few weeks back. I interviewed a mutual friend, Larry Kiefer,
Yeah, right.
who recruits from Fidel Consulting, who recruits essentially software engineers from all over within
That's correct.
Japan,
Yeah,
outside Japan, to work in Japan.
that's,
Uh, it sounded like from Larry's explanation that there's a severe shortage of software engineering talent in Japan.
that's correct. I agree with Larry. Yeah, yeah.
So, are you able to recruit any Japanese students right out of a university
Oh,
or
yes, it's difficult. I mean, companies like us for internal hiring for Japanese recruiting from Japanese firms is Japanese universities is difficult because any university in a typical Japanese person's mind is want to join a big ote company, a
yeah.
big company, right? So that's there in the mind. So to attract them to a company like TopTech, I mean, generally speaking, probably I shouldn't say that, but the leftovers are the ones that generally, yeah,
I see.
because all the big ones go and do the first round of hiring, and before they, uh, uh, you know, being in the job market, they're offered jobs and the campus placements, right? So yeah, so generally, it's very hard to get those people attracted, to join companies like this. But once they have the job market, then probably it's not that difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about, I know we are going to touch a little later on some general advice for foreigners that are interested to live and work in Japan like the two of us. What about specifically for people with skills in this area, and for software engineers that may not have Japanese language ability right now, but are interested to work in Japan and have the technical skills to do so? What advice would you give somebody like that?
I would say, of course, the first thing is learn Japanese, the
Mhm.
language. Language it's a must to live and work in Japan.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it. The second thing is, I mean, it's not that important when you first come here, because generally people think about, okay, even if you speak a little bit of Japanese, Japanese people is so nice and they're happy that, oh, foreigners speaking Japanese. Even if you say, arigato gozaimasu or hai gozaimasu, they'll say, oh, nihongo jozu desu ne.
Right.
That's the kind of response that you get from them. So that way, they're very helpful and very adaptive to foreigners. But I would say the people who are wanting to come to Japan, definitely, if you can learn Japanese before you come to Japan, that's good. Or at least sharpen your IT skills, and then you come here, and then you learn the Japanese. But Japanese, knowing the language is very important, even your career growth.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can grow in your career just by not speaking Japanese at all. So it's a combination of technology and adaptability that will get you to places.
Okay. But to get started, for let's say you don't have any Japanese capability, you could still do the work in as a software engineer in Japan in English or in code, so to speak.
Absolutely,
Within that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Ah,
Yeah, not a problem at all. So in my case, I came to Japan without knowing anything at all. I didn't even know the language. I didn't know the weather. Coming, the country I'm coming to, the food, nothing. Right? I just hopped on the plane, landed here. Oh, nice summer. Okay, great. I'm still in India.
yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. So, but no, jokes apart, you can have job without knowing Japanese. But I would say,
Mm.
I would say that's only in the technology sector.
Ah, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if you're in the technology, you can still get away with not knowing Japanese.
Okay.
But yeah, any other sector, healthcare or insurance or non-technology, not technical work, obviously you will need Japanese. Yeah,
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I'd agree with that.
yeah.
And then, how about advice? As long as we're on the subject of advice for foreigners, I mean, you went to all this trouble back in 2002, 2003 of starting your own firm under adverse conditions. What if you were to plan this? What advice would you give to budding foreign entrepreneurs who are interested in starting or taking over a business in Japan?
Yeah, good question as well. Um, Japan has changed a lot in that respect. A lot. So when I started the company, Japan had a kind of two-tier startup system. There's one company, one type of company called Yugen Gaisha, where you
Mhm.
needed at least minimum of 3 million yen as capital. Then the higher tier is called Kabushiki Gaisha (KK), which you needed to have a minimum 10 million yen capital.
Mhm. Mhm. A
So
lot.
yeah, that's a lot. So even to start the lower tier, you needed to have 3 million yen capital.
Mm.
But Japan abolished that around 2008 or 10, that period. And they said, oh, now you can start a company with even 1 yen capital. So
Mm.
they removed that capital amount requirement, which
Mm.
made a lot of entrepreneurs to start their own firms. People have been entrepreneurial in spirit, but they couldn't start the company because they needed to have at least 3 million yen as a capital alone. Let alone the other expenses, your
Mm.
company registration expenses and the lawyer fees and those kind of things were separate.
Yeah.
So that way things have changed now. and there are a lot of startup opportunities. People are more and more people are doing startups, and there are investment schemes coming in. There are the venture capitalists are available now. It's
Mm.
still at a nascent stage, but I would say there are a lot more venture capital opportunities available now than before.
What about in general the environment? I mean, as you know well, I'm sure lately, especially since the summertime, there's been quite a bit in the news media in Japan about criticism about how many foreigners are coming to at least visit, and even people who are moving to Japan, like the two of us did many years ago. Do you find that's an issue, or you'd recommend to budding entrepreneurs who are contemplating coming to Japan, don't be overly worried about this? Or what's your perspective on that sentiment?
Um, yeah, to that, my advice is empirical. It's it's a combination of your own experience that you see here. So I would say they should come here first, and instead of rather than just coming here and straight away start something, you make a visit first, come to
Mm.
Japan, spend some time, meet some people. There are a lot of networking opportunities here.
Mm.
So that and with that empirical evidence, you take back and then consult your colleagues, your partners, and then you take a decision based on that. And then you also find through a lot of networking events, and I think LinkedIn has a lot of such groups, and you find potential partners in Japan to come to it. It's always unless you have come with a lot of money, it's difficult for you to start something on your own. So you potentially you will start with some partner company in Japan who can actually help you with as a front end your solutions or the
Mhm.
products that you're trying to sell. That's a
Right.
way to go. Yeah, I mean larger companies they just can pump in money and then somebody and yeah.
Yeah, but for an entrepreneur, and say, since we do want to move on to cricket in just a second, but one last question about the growing community of Indian nationals who are living in Japan full time. I understand it's grown by leaps and bounds. Is there quite a network among the Indian community, in particularly in Tokyo, to support newcomers to Japan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are quite a few volunteer groups and if you know about India, India is a lot of small countries within India itself, right? Each state is a country by itself, right? The language is different, the food is different, the clothing is different, and everything is different in each place. So we have these state-based organizations in Japan.
Mm.
So all this all come under Indian umbrella, but you have this. For example, I'm from Kerala. We have a Kerala organization. Someone from Maharashtra will have their own Maharashtra organization, or from Karnataka will have their own organizations, and in every state has its own organizations. There are a couple from each state. You will find that those are the primary ones to people go to for help and asking questions in the groups. And then there are other organizations, so general purpose organizations. There is IT groups
Ah,
looking for a
industries.
job. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So those kind of separate groups, and there are cricket organizations, and there are those kind of things are available for people to go around and get around.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And of course, just a reminder to everyone, we'll put the link to TopTech Informatics into the final write up. And so you can contact Biju directly if you have a question about this. Now, you probably noticed that Biju has mentioned the word cricket about 3 or 4 times so far. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and go into that because I know nothing about cricket. But I just want to make a quick reminder, everyone who's listening, we have quite a few people out there. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll try to get to it. We see a few comments here, but I don't see any questions yet. Okay, let's move on to cricket. Well, first of all, cricket is not really mainstream in Japan, right? This is kind of a niche sport.
It is. It is actually.
Where do
Yeah.
you play? It takes up a lot of space,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so when I started, well, I'm one of the founders of the first cricket club, sort of in Japan, because when we came, there were not many Indians playing cricket, or not many Indians at all. So it was very difficult for us to, find players and ground, etc. So fortunately, we had one ground in Edagawa area, still there.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
so
okay.
that's where the whole cricket was concentrated on.
Um,
And now things have progressed. Um, well, compared to that, I would say it's a good progress in that we have quite a few, half a dozen grounds available. Not in Tokyo though. There's
mm,
one or two in Fuji. There are a few in Sano City in Tochigi.
mm.
So
Is there a team? There are lots of teams now?
the teams are all based in Tokyo though, so they travel.
Oh, okay.
So we travel to those kind of places to play cricket.
Oh,
And yeah,
okay.
and then of
You
course
play year round?
sorry.
You play year round?
Oh, yeah, well, no. And generally, season is between from April to October. That's the cricket season, when the weather is nice, So,
Yes.
yeah. But
Okay.
from November onwards, people normally don't play because too cold to get out and play.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay, got it.
and the other reason is we play cricket with hard ball and then we play without gloves, unlike baseball.
Yes.
So it's very difficult to catch a ball in bare hands, in wind.
When it's
So
cold.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh, all right. And how many people are involved with cricket in Japan?
very few, very few. I would say Japan has a cricket population of players, maybe less than 2,000 people playing cricket all around Japan.
That's a
Majority of,
lot. Okay.
well, yeah, including whatever they have, the children,
Oh, yeah.
I would say about less than 2,000 people all around Japan. And of that, maybe 70-80% is in Tokyo.
Okay. And
Yeah.
these are mostly foreigners living in Japan, or are there lots of Japanese cricket players too?
Yeah, I would say there are Japanese cricket players, but they are, well, there are very few. If I look at the Japanese national team, there are very few native Japanese players in the team. Uh, yeah, but there are second generation Japanese players coming in a mixed Japanese,
Mhm.
Indian, Japanese, Australian, Japanese, New Zealand, Japanese, UK, kind of that kind of. I can say they're coming up, but very few real. I mean, they are real too, but I would say what I mean. You know what I mean, right? So
We did, yeah.
it's not
Okay.
coming out. Basically, these people are not coming from the university level. They're coming from their, the home country cricket, either through their parents coming here and putting them in
Mm.
with the cricket sport as a curriculum and things like that. So cricket is not growing in the university level or the school level.
Oh,
That's not a growing sport, I would say, unfortunately.
okay. That was my next question is, are you teaching young kids how to do this? But
Yeah,
some
well, well, even now there are the few schools they have taken up Japanese as one of the sports included in the curriculum. But they are, as far as I know, most of them are foreign schools. There are a few Japanese schools, maybe schools that you can count on one hand fingers, probably have I mean, included that as their part of their official curriculum.
okay. Well, hey, I mean, rugby is pretty popular in Japan, so there's still
Yeah, I mean,
of
that's one complaint I have about cricket. You know, rugby. I mean, in 30 years, if I look at the growth of rugby and cricket, when cricket grew like this, rugby grew like this. That's, I don't know what went wrong, and is it the administration's problem or not? But it's not growing. It's not growing as I would like to see. You know, yeah.
all
And
right. Well,
I
it's
think
a
one
challenge.
of the reasons is cricket is actually competing with similar sport, baseball, bat and ball,
Got
right?
it.
So obviously,
It's a new story.
yeah,
Yes. Little competition in Japan with baseball. Okay.
yeah. That's right. And the cricket is also bat and ball. So what would
Yes.
you go for?
Okay. Well, as an American, I won't make a comment on that. But in any case, if you have a question about cricket, if you're interested in cricket, you know who to call. It's Biju. One thing before we go, because time is flying. I know that you're also not all about just doing business in cricket. You're very much committed to giving back to the community. And I know that you were, in particular, very active with helping out during that massive combined earthquake and other natural disaster that took place back in 2011 on March 11th. And you also are, you have your own charitable foundation. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, the giving activities that you do?
Right. So when this March 11 happened, there was obviously something like that has never happened in Japan, and it's kind of new to this generation of people, right? So it was all a new lesson for all of us how to live in a rich country frugally,
Yeah.
those period, right?
Oh, true. That's true. Back at that the
Those
exchange.
back at that time,
Yeah.
you go to a department store, you're only allowed to take one piece of bread or one packet of,
Oh,
those kind of, and you can only take one packet of milk, and it's all there, written there that please take only one packet each per family, right? And I was surprised to see that Japanese people are going by that. Nobody's there watching them whether they are taking two or three. You know, because the board is there, they are kind of accommodative to their fellow human beings. So those are kind of good lessons to me. And by the time March 11, almost 10 years, 15 years, I'm in Japan. So it was I thought that, I'm in this country and people are started fleeing Japan those days, because of the
yeah,
impending nuclear disaster.
yeah,
So,
mhm.
right. So a lot of people flew Japan. So me and my wife took a decision. Said, come what may, we will stay here in Japan.
Mm, mm,
So nothing, not going to go at all. So and then from our church, they started. They said I think a month later, 2 months later, we started. Started. We decided that we should go to Tohoku and help those people uh,
ooh,
to resettle. And basically, initially to start with cleanup operations.
yeah. Mm,
So it was a cleanup operation, right? It was completely, and I actually seen with my own eyes the way the houses were messed up with all the dirt and slush,
mm,
and the tatami rooms were like, you couldn't do anything because it was so soggy, wet,
ooh,
and cupboards with their libraries, the books are wet and they're so heavy. Things are floating all around. Not really floating, but by the time the water level has done, but it's outside the house, toppled on the street. TVs, cars, furniture, everything is on the street, everywhere. So for about a year, from our church, we went on a weekly basis. We used to call it 24 hours in Tohoku. So we leave on Friday night, arrive on Saturday morning. We'll do a one full day work and Saturday cleaning up. So every time we had 10, 15 people, we're going as a group.
oh,
And then we return on Saturday night and then arrive on Sunday morning.
oh my God. For a year.
For a year, we did
Amazing.
that. So not everyone went every week. So for the first few months, I went every week. Then I changed. I mean, a lot of us kind of changed. That we started going like reduce our frequency. But from the church itself, we went every week.
Mm, mm.
So
That's amazing.
so it was a great experience for me as well, and was kind of the Japanese resilience. Um, I could witness that. One particular example I would say. I hope we have time, right? So
Go ahead.
one particular example is we were on the first or second time I visited. We walked into this old lady's house, and she didn't know. She only knew that we are coming on that day morning because the city office told her that somebody's coming to clean her house. And she was so thankful. So when I when we arrived, our team leader, I was one of the team leaders. She just hugged me and the other person. Then she started crying. She's 80 plus, 85, 87-year old. She said that she never knew. She thought that she's not going to get any help, and she was going to sleep the rest of her life in be a homeless or something, because this house is like a two-story house. She's only person living in that house, and that house, you won't believe, it's such a messy and dirty house it was because of all the slush and water coming in. And then we started cleaning up. It took about 3 weeks, 3 trips for us to clean the entire house.
Wow.
But what I still remember what she said. She said she built that house 50 years ago.
Mhm.
And then she said she built it single-handedly. And she said, you know what she said in Japanese? She said, now it's all gone. She said, Shoganai ne, korekara mo gambarimasu. She said, from now, even now, you have to remember she's 85, 87 years old
All
at
right.
that time. She said, korekara mo gambarimasu. I couldn't believe that. And an 87-year-old lady saying she's going to work hard from now again. So
Oh, that's so good.
that actually, I thought, oh man, this is Japan. That the resilience. Yeah,
Yeah, wow, that is quite a superhuman human effort you and your churchgoers did. And also tell us one before we go, you have your own charitable foundation, right?
that's right. Yeah.
So
So
what's that all about?
yeah, so it's a family foundation. We started me and my brother and my husband. Sorry, what did I say? Me, my brother, and my mother. Uh, uh, so I wanted to. I come from a village in Kerala, my home state. So I wanted to help people around our village with either education of young children or people. I mean, there are a lot of people who are struggling to get their daughters married off. So helping with the daughters' marriage and those kind of things. So that's why I started that. So I didn't want to say this, but I'm the sole contributor to the charity foundation, and then it runs on my funding. But
Mm.
we're happy to do that. But we don't say that. Sorry, I just happened to say that in the meeting. But it's going very well. A lot of people are being helped.
Mm,
Yeah, and that. So
terrific.
generally helping people around in my village. That's what we're doing.
Oh, wow. And so you're getting ready to go back to visit India. I imagine you're gonna go back to your village too?
Yes. So we're going back for this Christmas. So we'll be having good,
Oh,
fun time during Christmas, and then of course we have a wedding to attend as well. So it's
oh,
very interesting.
you're gonna and I hear Indian weddings are massive, right?
Wedding weddings are massive, man. It's it's unbelievable number of guests that we get.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're gonna be the guest of honor, it sounds like.
No, I won't be. Well, it's my wife's niece getting married.
Oh,
So we are just the relatives going to bless the couple.
okay. Well, that sounds good. Let's do a quick check to see if we have any questions. I don't see that we have any. We have a couple of comments, but well, anyway, Bishu, we're up against our time here, but it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and you've offered many solid pieces of advice for fellow foreigners that might want to make Japan their home and also place a business like the two of us have done for 30 years. Uh, would you like to say any following parting words to everyone who's online at the moment?
Oh, okay. Well, I would say Japan rewards patience. You have to be patient in Japan for everything. It takes time. It may not be, as a foreigner, it may not work the way you expect things to work, but be patient and be a good listener of the conversations. In Japan, everything, the Japanese phrase called yoko narabi,
Mm,
stand in one line. Japanese are never the first person to break that kind of thing, right? So you have to adapt to that culture. The nail that stands out will be hammered down. That's the
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you have to understand that kind of culture. And then once you have those things in mind, you can succeed.
Well, all right. Spoken by someone who has succeeded. Biju, thank you so much for joining us. And
Problem
as
to practice.
promised, we will put the recording out within the next 24 hours, along with a little write-up with links to TopTech Informatics and some of
Thank
the
you.
other organizations that Biju is responsible for. So thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone who's still online.
Thank you.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
everyone.
your
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having
Oh,
me. And it was a pleasure interacting with you. Good questions. And I hope, that people have benefited, or they get some ideas from what we did. And yeah, thank you very
I
much.
know they will. I know they will. It's quite an inspirational story of success. Terrific,
Very much.
and giving back, which is also important. Thank you, Biju. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, goodbye,
Bye.
everyone.
お疲れ様でした。
Thanks for watching and or listening to another story from the Read My Lips series of podcasts on Real Gaijin. Tell us what you think and be sure to tune in again next time.
Woo!